Hello and welcome to the Gerry Joe Leeds United show. I'm here live with Stats and James and Debbie. So James and Debbie's been on a few times. Stats, this is the first time, so welcome to the show. If you want to just take a wee quick minute, I know most Leeds fans I'm sure will be aware of you, but if you want to just tell any non-Leeds fans who you are.
Oh, crikey, where do I start? I'm quite lucky to be known as kind of the official club historian for Leeds United Football Club. I've written 4 books for the football club, ones which James and Debbie featuring quite heavily. Thought I'd get that in. I love all my statistics, and I've supported the club since the early 1990s, sort of from the Howard Wilkinson era, and we've lived through everything really, from winning the league, nearly getting relegated, European games, League Cup final, Champions League days, relegation to the Championship, relegation to League One, promotion to from League One, playoff finals, and obviously now promotion to Marcelo Bielsa. So yeah, it's been a rocky ride over the last nearly 30 years, but we see it, and all these good times make up for all the bad times that we've had.
You must be somewhere in and around the same age bracket as me. Then we'll not give away our ages, but you must be around the same time, early 90s for me as well. So it's obviously welcome to the channel and the show. So we're going to start off then with we'll have a wee chat then about I'm still feeling good about the other night. So we'll start off there with Debbie and her initial reaction to the win the other night, the 3-0 win over Southampton.
Yeah, I thought fantastic at the end. I thought first half weren't very good, to be honest, from both sides. I thought 0-0 at half time was struggling quite a bit. But then obviously second half we just turned it up a notch, and I thought we were outstanding, to be honest.
What about yourself, James?
Probably echo Debbie's thoughts, to be fair. I thought the first half wasn't at our best. Probably lucky to not be at least a goal down at half time, although we had a couple of chances ourselves. I thought second half we just stepped it up a couple of gears, and they couldn't really live with us after that. Some really good performances. Could have picked 4 or 5 man of the matches on Tuesday.
So you mentioned 4 or 5 man of the matches. Who would we have went for? Would we have went for Rafinha?
Well, I'm not going to say your man, but yes, no, he was certainly up there. It was certainly up there. To be fair, I thought Llorente for his first 90 minutes, I thought he was outstanding. I thought he reads the game ever so well. Thought Cooper again. Last 3 or 4 weeks, Cooper's really come on leaps and bounds. Very impressed. Stuart Dallas, obviously. I thought Rafinha, obviously, and the big man up front again, Bamford. And not just his goal, but just again his all-round game. He's growing week after week after week. And I've got to say, Bamford for England. You've got to.
What about yourself, Stats? What was your sort of thoughts after we've had a few days now to think about it?
First half, Gerry, we kind of started off slow. Also, we had the wonderful chance from Rafinha, which you have to say is an unbelievable tackle from Romeo to get back. The penalty was never a penalty, and that's kind of why VAR is there. I thought it was pretty poor from Teller, to be honest with you. I don't quite know why he didn't book him, the referee, but yeah, should have been booked for diving. But we grew into the game, and special mention for Tyler Roberts for me, because I think he's growing into stature a little bit. I thought the through ball at Wolves for Bamford to start a goal, which was very marginal. The through ball on Tuesday night for his first goal was brilliant. And I also thought Helder Costa played his part a little bit on Tuesday night, having a hand in one of the goals for Stuart Dallas. Yeah, absolutely. And it's unbelievable to think that we're 10th in the Premier League, we're the 10th best team in England as we sit here tonight. And look, Rafinha's unplayable at the moment, and when he's on his day, he's on his day. Leeds-born Stuart Dallas, I use that term loosely.
Gerry excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Another fantastic performance. And I think 1-11, we're growing in stature, and a special word for the goalkeeper Meslier as well, who keeps on keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. The youngest, I think, to keep so many clean sheets before his 21st birthday. So it all goes well, and we're very much looking forward to a visit from Aston Villa without Jack Grealish at the weekend.
Obviously you've made a comment about Grealish. We have our own issues, though. That was probably the one thing that came out of the game that I was a wee bit concerned about was the injury to Click, which apparently he's touch and go. Could play, maybe won't. James, if Click misses out, who comes in?
So the question is Shackleton fit? I'm not sure. If he's fit, he's the obvious replacement. Otherwise, I'm really not sure. I'm looking through the squad and I'm thinking, obviously, Sturridge, we've all said he's not a central midfield player. You've obviously got Phillips is injured. Click could be injured. Shackleton might be injured. So I'm a little bit concerned about the midfield, to be honest with you. I don't think if you have any other choice, but probably do play Sturridge in there with Stuart Dallas and obviously Roberts in front of him. I just can't see another option. That's the problem, as we were saying a couple of weeks ago. Central midfield is an absolute key for me in the summer. We are very, very light in that area.
One of the things I've seen being touted is possibly Llorente in midfield. His passing, certainly, I thought as the game wore on, I thought he was a wee bit dodgy in the first half, which the guy's played 10 minutes of football in a long time, and I thought he really grew into the game. What would you say, Debbie, about Llorente?
Yeah, I agree with James. I'm quite worried about that position tomorrow, but I do think, like you, I don't think Llorente is just a typical defender. He seems comfortable on the ball, can pass the ball, looks for the vision. I think he's a little bit more than just the bog standard defender who fit away. Obviously, Bielsa won't have him if he was that type of player. So yeah, I think he could and possibly will fit in there tomorrow, to be honest. But let's hope Click's playing and fit. Again, the pitch it's just a worry.
And what do you think yourself, Stats?
I think it's an interesting one. The only other viable option is bringing Alioski back, switching him to left back and play Stuart Dallas there is the only other possibility that they probably could do, because it's amazing to think where we are in the league with all these injuries. And I know Liverpool complain, but there's never a word said about Leeds' injuries when they're 10th in the league and what have you. And I get fed up of sort of a bit of the biasness towards the bigger clubs. But you look, Cock has hardly played this season. Llorente's only just come back. Adam Forshaw's been injured all season. Phillips has been injured. Click's possibly injured. Shackleton's injured at the moment. It's amazing to think we're top 10 in the Premier League with all these injuries, and I'm hoping Click comes to it. But as James and Debbie rightly say, we haven't got that many other options that can kind of fill that role.
Worrying.
Just out of interest, Stats, who would you play in midfield with Dallas and Roberts then? Because obviously you still need a third person. So if you bring Dallas in midfield, who would you play? Because you still need somebody else.
Would you bring Pablo in? Can Pablo play 90 minutes? Is he fit enough to play 90 minutes?
Can he play the number 8 role?
That's the problem, isn't it? That there's a lack of strength in depth, which makes the achievement even more remarkable to be where we are in the league, because we've had so many injuries this season. There's not a real standout player. Yeah, absolutely, Debbie. It'll be interesting to see what Bielsa's. I personally think Click will be fit, because if we can get through this game, we've then got, I think, a week and a bit. I think we play West Ham on the Monday, if memory serves me right. Before then, so if we can get through this game, it'll be all right. But there's not that many options there in midfield to play at the moment.
So, who would you say, Debbie, is sitting at the minute? Do you think Bielsa has more of a headache about midfield, or do you think Dean Smith's sitting concerned more about Grealish? Like who's in the worst position going in with injuries?
Obviously, Grealish is going to be a massive, massive miss for them, but who cares? I don't really care, to be honest. All I do when he plays is talk about how many times he dives and just frustrates the hell out of me. So, yeah, not bothered about that. I do think Bielsa will be slightly worried tonight, because obviously, with Click and Phillips, well, possibly Click and Phillips, it's huge for Leeds. It really is. I'm really worried about that position tomorrow night. I just hope that when that team sheet comes out, Click is there, and I hope he's fit to play the majority of the game.
Gone quiet. Oh, I've lost you.
Can you hear me, Stats?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The Gremlins are definitely here.
I'm here.
Yeah. No, yeah. So obviously the midfield. the Grealish thing has been quite funny because all I've seen on social media this week is the state of our pitch, and Grealish is I don't know what I don't know how to say it kindly. So I'm not going to, but he's a bit of a prick and dives all the time. So I think it could have been a bit of a spectacle that would have been worth watching. But it'll be interesting to see. Has anybody watched much of Villa this season since the drubbing that we handed out the last time?
I've seen bits, Gerry, of them. I'll be honest, I get bored not watching Leeds. Like, we've been so spoiled this season for the way we play football. It's wonderful to watch on the eye, and it's so pleasing. I sat through the Villa-Leicester game last week because I like to try and get an idea of how opposition teams play before they play us. I was bored. I thought they were really poor, and I think personally it's more of a problem that Grealish doesn't play for them than Phillips doesn't play for us, because we've shown on Tuesday night we can cope without Calvin. Whether Villa can cope without Grealish remains to be seen, and they struggled against Leicester last Sunday.
Just interesting what you say about the getting bored watching other teams play. I said to Debbie the other week, I dread the day that Bielsa actually leaves. We are so blessed. Win, lose, or draw, which is obviously very rare that we draw, but whatever the result, you can honestly say you've watched the game and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Some of the games we've watched, they just bore me to death. They really bore me to tears.
Yeah. And I think that's because we've been so spoiled by the football that we play under Marcelo. And even the Man United 6-2 drubbing, we kept going to the end. We kept creating chances. That could have been 6-4 or 6-5 towards the end. And you're never bored watching Leeds. And I think
me and James have looked at each other after, and we said, "Are we disappointed? Are we really upset?" And obviously we don't like to lose, but we've not been downhearted. We've been excited for the next game because we can pick ourselves up and we can play.
Exactly. And I sat through. Okay, Brighton Crystal Palace was a decent watch in the end last Monday night, but some of the games are just so slow and from weird pass and move, quick pass and move, press high and get the ball back. I think I don't know if it's jealousy or what have you, but it's so different to watching Leeds games. And I think it doesn't help that there's no fans in the ground either at the moment, because fans make the atmosphere and players can thrive off that. And I think that does make a big difference, because some of the games are quite sterile at times. But I think we've been spoiled rotten with Marcelo under the last 3 years or so.
I think it's
while we're talking of jealousy, mate, I'm dead at that beard.
It's coming on. It'll be down here soon. I'm trying to keep it. I need it trimming. I do need it trimming. So Boris, open the hairdressers.
20 years time, you're getting jobs as Santa impersonators and stuff. Good career move. Wise decision.
Absolutely.
But I think it's interesting what you were saying about being bored watching other teams. Because so many times, like, brutally honest, the only sort of other Premier League matches I've watched is two of the big ones. Whenever two of the big ones going head to head, and those games are so boring, so boring. You're watching them, and you could nearly watch them and just think it's going to be 0-0 or 1-0. Even the couple of games, Man United played 3 weekends in a row. There was the league game against Liverpool. Brutal. The FA Cup game was really good, and then I can't remember who they played the next weekend. It was it Arsenal or Chelsea or someone of them were for a big brutal again, really crap game. And I think the important thing for Leeds moving forward is going to be, we don't want to go into a situation where we find ourselves in that sort of merry-go-round where it's like you've got like about half a dozen managers that just go around all the clubs. And I think no matter what happens, it has to be somebody else that's coming in with a project, with an idea. This is what I hope to achieve out of my next 3 or 4 years at Leeds, and that's what we have with Bielsa, and it is so fortunate. So obviously, I think we were all delighted. I have to be honest. There was personally, I wasn't concerned because I was looking at it and thinking, there's enough teams between us and Fulham where people are starting to be worried about this. And I have to be honest, I wasn't. But to me, that just everybody now, even the biggest doubters of them all, it's just a relaxing effect, and we can just really enjoy the remainder of the season. And you know that the manager isn't going to be giving anybody any time off and looking at it and saying, right, well, we're safe now, because he's already said himself that he's not willing to sign a contract until the board have had the opportunity to evaluate his full season's performance, which I think it's just a measure of the man that he is. But just some of the other stuff then I wanted to talk about, and I'll get James and Debbie's opinion on this as well. So obviously stats, obviously the nickname, and stats in football. So I know some of the sort of stats that you do are like mostly like it's been this length of time since like something like the team's won or like recent results and stuff. What are you like with like actual like see like websites like Who Scored and stuff, and I know Squawk is another one. How do you feel about those kind of stats?
Well, Debbie and James have known me for I think nearly 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I kind of got a bit of a photographic memory, and I can remember certain games and what have you, or longer, probably longer. And I kind of have my own, not my own website. I will look to hopefully build that, but the only thing I don't kind of keep is assists and what have you, but I can sort of any games going back, and I can just pick out the statistics and so exactly little appearances that are coming up, and I kind of look at the opponent and see if there's anything that kind of stands out. Like for example, with Villa tomorrow, we haven't done the double over Villa since 75, 76. You weren't born then, Debbie, were you? She's looking at me. I was waiting for that.
Yes, you was. Yes,
yeah, but in all seriousness, I kind of look at things and like if there's like Paddy Bamford needs 3 games to reach 100 in a Leeds shirt, hopefully he'll get that against Chelsea, ironically. And I look at different things and different trends. I'm not the kind of guy that looks at passes because I haven't got the software. There are other people out there. Like I never understood expected goals for me. That I know a lot of people use expected goals, but at the end of the day, you look at the newspaper the following morning, you don't get points for expected goals. You get points for how many goals you've actually scored or hit the back of the net. So I tend to go on like dates and what have you, and little things. And it's funny because on March the 24th this year, we're celebrating. It'll be 25 years since the Aston Villa drubbing in the League Cup final, which I think a lot of people like to forget. So, which is probably the beginning of the end of Howard Wilkinson. So I kind of look at different things, like if Bielsa's looking at some things, looking at a landmark, or if there's goal scores coming up and what have you. Like I think Bamford's now our 48th all-time goal scorer. So I look at different records that are coming up and something that's quite eye-catching that you think, okay, that might be quite useful for that particular game. So I've got my own little niches, but the Who Score website's great, Enfi's great, but other people have got sort of their own little niches as well, Gerry.
I think it's an interesting thing because my thing, like I know in American sports, stats are absolutely massive, but particularly in baseball, where you've got a guy that's going to stand as a pitcher and he's going to throw at the guy, and it's the same scenario. But I think in-game stats in football is so hard because there's so many variables.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think it's very difficult, but I still do. Like, there's sometimes I look at it and you see like a guy's got like these unbelievable stats for this game, and you're looking at it and think, I thought he was rubbish tonight, you know. And it's an interesting thing. I think football's unusual in that scenario.
Yeah.
What would you say yourselves, James, first of all?
Well, not just saying it because he's sat here because he's a mate, but I always before the game, stats is the man I go to before the game. Have a look and see what see. As he said, he's already explained what kind of things he does before the game. Then LUFC data is the big one for me after the game. I always look at his. I'm really interested in the amount of completed passes, the amount of presses, final third passes. Them things do interest me. I do agree with stats though. The only one that I don't like is the expected goals. It's got no interest in me whatsoever. I'm not interested in that. But I think LEFC data, probably for an aftermatch, is as good as anything out there. I really look forward to his stats after the game, especially when we won 3-0. There's always some good ones.
Yes.
Good ones flying about there. But I think it's good to get an insight in, as well, because certain people watch the game differently. I do try and watch the game as much as I can. But obviously, sometimes you get really too enjoyed in the game being a fan yourself. But obviously, that's stats that these kind of people have the software they can just reel anything off. And you have to be fair that's quite one that you use, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I like LEFC data, but stats are fantastic every day. Few a day.
Yes.
Informed, don't you, stats?
I tell you, I try and come up with different things, and if there's like something in a lineup that might look different, like there's teenagers or ages or things like that, and I'm waiting for one when Bielsa doesn't make any subs, because he's made, I think, one sub on 3 occasions. And I was waiting for, I can't remember when the game was. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Palace when he made his first sub late on. I was waiting for the stat to say it'd be the first time since ... they haven't made a sub in a game. So I'm working on things like if Bamford scores tomorrow. Go on.
I was just going to say, I nearly dropped a bombshell 5 minutes ago. I was going to say, don't listen to any of his stats. It's a load of crap, really. But I thought,
thanks, James. I remember that, Hampton. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
We could retweet those stats. I wish we could retweet,
yes,
because I read them and I read them to Gerry. I'm like, I want to tell everybody.
I know. Unfortunately, with Twitter, and I don't want to try and go off segue here, I've had, Matt, as you well know, I've had some negative stuff, and when you're not on private, you can get idiots just sort of being school children. It does have a negative effect, of course it does. So I kind of keep my group that I've got, and about that, and as I say, I just try and look at different things, and I'll look at something previous, like Paddy Bamford, if he scores tomorrow, become the first Leeds player to score home and away versus Villa since, and I'm going to do some research with that before the game. So I've kind of got little things kind of prepared, basically, and ready to go, really.
Very good.
Just while we're talking about Bamford, can I ask a question, Gerry, on your show? Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll ask everyone what they think about the Bamford for England thing. Is everybody with you on
in
that?
The shower tonight.
Yeah, I'll sing it in the shower tonight, Bamford for England. So I just wondered where you all stand on that.
Well, I'll go first. He's got an Irish granny or granda, so we'll have him if you don't want him.
I'll go second. James hasn't cooked me tea yet, so yes, I agree with him.
And I'll go third, and Emma would kill me if I said no. So because she's actually Bamford's biggest fan. So why not put him in the squad? Why not? Well, we got to lose. We haven't had an England player in a Euros. Exactly, we haven't had an England player in the Euros, I think, since 2000 when Nigel Martin went. So yeah, why not? Give him a go, and it could be a useful squad player for Gareth Southgate from the summer.
More goals than any other English player, hasn't he?
Correct, and absolutely, I think he's got one penalty, if memory serves me right, against Burnley. So yeah, why not? Personally, I would take him. I'd take him and Phillips. Yeah, I'd take. Why not? You need a 23-man squad if you're going to do well in the tournament.
I think he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'd take him for the Euros. But whether we're biased or not remains to be seen. But yeah, I think he's earned his form this year. Very good. But yeah, he's certainly earned the opportunity to have a call up. And I think there's some games coming up with England after the Fulham game in March. We've got another international break. By the way, we'll have finally won in London by then after about 350 years. Because it's been that long since we've won in London. So yeah, why not? Sorry, Gerry, but yeah, Bamford for England. Right? It does. It really, really does. Yeah. It feels like we've been in lockdown longer.
That's all I need to hear, mate. That's all I need to hear.
And a serious note about Bamford, my one thing that I think might stop him playing for England is because he's always sort of played for us as a centre forward. Whereas I think Southgate would be more likely to pick him if they could play him on the right, the left, and the middle. The more versatile. Because I think Harry Kane is probably his number one, and Calvert-Lewin's has had a few chances this season with England, and I don't know that he's done enough to be dropped. So I think he might be third on the list. And it depends how many he takes, really.
I always think you take three out and out strikers, and I agree with the probably three players you mentioned there: Harry Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and Patrick Bamford. Right now, are probably arguably England's three best out and out strikers.
No, I think it's fair enough, but it just for me it is just the case of what is sort of plan B would be. I'm still aware of the seems to be an echo. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got an echo through your room at the minute.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to complain. So obviously to get back onto the game tomorrow, then. So do we foresee any changes other than in midfield? What about Jack Harrison? We'll start with stats there on that one.
Good call. Yeah, look. I'm never ever going to slate this team because they've got us into an unbelievable position this year, and Jack Harrison's had a great season. It might be the case he's played a lot of football. He's missed one game this year, which was against Manchester City, as his parent club that he couldn't play in. Maybe he just needs a rest for a game or two. It might be the same if Click is unfit, because Click was taken out of the foul against Newcastle, obviously came on. So it might just be a case of played so much football, hardly non-stop, and it's relentless with midweek games as well. So if Harrison doesn't play, I just think you bring Helder Costa in and replace him. But other than that, obviously, a lot depends on the fitness of Click, as we've already mentioned. But I can't foresee too many changes from the team that started against Southampton on Tuesday night.
And what do you think of that one, James? Do you think there's a chance that Costa could come in for Harrison?
I think probably if we're all sat here, all four of us probably agree at the moment, as Stats said, that he's one that needs a rest. The last 2, 3, even 4 games, he's really struggled. I mean, I didn't think he was that great at Newcastle. I know he scored the winning goal, but I didn't think he had his best game. And certainly since then, he seemed to have dwindled the last few years. And Costa, I mean, he came on at Arsenal, had an impact. He came on Tuesday night, had a real impact. And I think that's, for me, it's the most obvious change. It seemed to work with Click. He took him out the firing line for the Newcastle game, took him out the firing line for the Leicester game, albeit he brought him on again fairly early. But it does help these players. And like Stats, he's been a fantastic servant over the last couple of years, played nearly every single minute for Bielsa. You can't criticise as such, but I think it's fair to say he's not performing well at the moment. And for me, that's probably the most obvious change, as well as Click. But fingers crossed, he's fit enough to play. Other than that, I can't see anything else changing, to be honest.
So Stats will be proud of him for this one. Harrison scored 3 goals in his last 6 games, so he's not playing that badly. But I think whenever he doesn't play well, it does seem to stand out a wee bit. But for me, I think there's a case for giving Costa an opportunity, because as well as it's good to be loyal to the players that you have.
Yeah.
But I also think that if someone comes on off the bench and plays well,
yeah,
I think it's important that the players that are on the bench that we might need in a week or two, realise that there's a path into the team. So what would you say about that, Debbie?
Yeah, I think, just going back to Jack Harrison, I think it's been unbelievable this season. And you're not going to go through a season where your form doesn't dip. It happens to every single player. It happens to the best players in the world. It's even probably happened to the likes of Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. So it does happen. And maybe just a case that Jack's played so much football and missing just one game this season with the way Leeds play, with the murder ball, Bielsa ball, whatever you want to call it, during the training sessions as well. It might just be a case he needs to have one game on the bench and give Costa a go. And it's good that Costa did come on, because I thought he played well against Arsenal. Okay, he might have been at fault for the 4th goal, but he showed sort of attacking wise, he got the goal in the second half, and I thought he had a really good second half against Southampton as well. So it'll be a good opportunity to, if he does start, see if he can take it with both hands and give sort of Bielsa a bit of a headache going into the last 13, 12 games of the season.
And what would be your thoughts on it, Debbie?
Yeah, I think Costa's looked hungry the last few times he's come on, and he's done really well and deserves his place. He probably does deserve to start above Jack, to be honest. I think maybe there is a little bit of fatigue with Jack. I mean, let's face it, the lad never stops, does he? The defensive work that he does is unbelievable, as well as getting up the pitch, etc. It's a good problem to have that we're talking like. We can rotate players because all the top clubs do it. But yeah, I would like to see Costa start tomorrow. I think he does deserve a start. But then again, it's if we get the Costa that started the last, the last few games. A few months back, Costa weren't doing that much for me, to be honest, and weren't in the squad for a few of the games. So I don't know.
Oh, just interesting pattern with Jordan Costa. I think we kind of said this the other week. As soon as Rafinha was signed, he kind of chucked the towel in and thought, okay, my days here are numbered. And he just kind of lost. He started the season really, really well. And he kind of stopped his fighting. The last few weeks, as Harrison's form has deteriorated, Costa's form has gone the opposite way. So it's like he's almost seen, actually, there's an opportunity for me here. If I really get stuck in and I'm giving it a go, I've got a chance. And to be fair, he's earned his chance. It's just interesting. Our player comes in, his form goes, Harrison's form drops, and Costa's form then reaches its peak again. So, as David said, it's not a bad problem to have. Yeah. Because ultimately, Jack will play, probably another 90% of the season. Because, he's not what you call an out-and-out winger like obviously Rafinha is, but obviously what he does off the ball, his defensive work and the way he helps the left back, whether it's Alioski or Dallas, as we know, left back's probably our weakest position as well, and I just think he does so much work there. But ultimately, I just love him to beat a man. He's got the pace to beat a man. He's clearly got the skill. We've seen that. He can score goals. And his first touch for me is the best in the team. It really is. His first touch is phenomenal. I just want to see him beat the man and, stand him and go by him. You get the confidence. You've got the pace. You've got the skill. Do it.
So, before then, obviously, we'll wrap it up quite soon because I'm frustrating myself with this echo. I'm going to have to find out what's going on, but I'll get the predictions in. So we'll start with stats. So what's the prediction for tomorrow?
I am going to go for the same score line at Ellen Road back in December 2016. I know it was roof and wood then. I'm going to go for 2-0 Leeds. I think Bamford and Rafinha. I just feel quite confident going into the game without Matty Cash, without Jack Grealish. I think you take away a little bit of Aston Villa's attacking intent, and I just feel Leeds will have too much for them tomorrow.
Was that game around Christmas that year? Was it?
It's just before Christmas. We won 2-0 at Ellen Road, and we should have won at Villa Park. We drew 1-0. We gave away a penalty late on, so we took 4 points off them. So yeah, I fancy us tomorrow. I fancy us to do the double over Aston Villa.
Yeah, I remember that game because I missed the end of it because I had to take the kids to bloody punt.
Goal for the club.
Correct. Spot on.
Yeah. So, Debbie, what's the prediction?
Very good. Very good.
I'd love another clean sheet, definitely, and I don't see no reason why not. To be honest, I'm not overly worried about Watkins. Certainly, if Llorente is playing, Cooper's playing in defence. I'm going to go for 0. I think Bamford will certainly be on the score sheet. England player. I think that. Bamford's obviously his confidence is going to be really high scoring a hat at Villa Park. And I think we'll go out and attack and get the goal quite early. And yeah, I'm going for 3-0.
And James?
I don't like copying the same score. I was going to go 2-0, the same as stats, but since he's already said that, I'm going to change my score and go for 3-1 to Leeds.
Well,
it's not a clean sheet everybody wants, but a 2-goal win margin.
See if you are claiming Leeds-born Stuart Dallas. I'm claiming Ireland-born Patrick Bamford, and he's going to get himself the only goal, the 1-0 win. So that's my prediction. But no, so just before we go then, obviously, I know Stats, you've done a few books then. So what you've done? He says 4 now. So I know obviously there was definitely the one. I know the centenary book. So what's the other books, and where can people find them then?
The other books that I've done, I first did one with a wonderful author called John Howe, who does some stuff for Leeds United, wonderful writer. We did a vote back in 2012 to find the greatest Leeds United player of all time. And it'd be better if we did that now, because the demographics have completely changed. You've got different players from the last 9 years or so. I then did the 1980s book with Heidi of what it was like to follow Leeds in the 1980s and the history of the 1980s. And then I was very fortunate to be sort of approached by the club to do the history for the 100-year centenary. And we were very lucky. I was very lucky again. I got in contact with the club once we won promotion, and I did sort of the add-on from last season as well. So some wonderful pictures in there. And they're all available off Amazon. I think they're still in the Leeds United Club store. I know it's not open at the moment, but they're available online as well. So yeah, it's something. If you like your history of your football club, there you go.
We actually had Heidi on
free
the
advert,
channel.
isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, they paid me well.
We had Heidi on a few weeks ago as well, and yes. she's obviously talking about her books as well. So no, it's something for me personally as well. I've always wanted to do it, but I've great admiration to anybody who's done it. So
thank you.
I wish you well with that, and obviously everybody that's watching. I think before we go as well, I need to mention Peter Lorimer. I seen obviously. Some bad news. I believe the statement this evening says he's in a hospice, and thoughts with him and his family on that. So thanks to Stats for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again. James and Debbie back as you definitely must be sort of five or six caps by this stage, like I would say. You've definitely been on a good few times. So thanks again.
I've got a multi-card now.
Do you get a ball like on Soccer 8 on 3 times? I get a hat-trick ball or something?
I'm going to start sending you the bill for this StreamYard if this is the way this thing works. So is it? If they have me echoing, and we'll send the bill to Leeds and say it was him.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thanks to the three of you for coming on, and I'm going to figure out what the issue was, and hopefully we'll not have the technical issues again, and hopefully catch up soon. I don't think anybody's down for the game after the game tomorrow night, but I'll probably try and put something out. But fingers crossed it'll be another win. And I think if we win tomorrow,
James's birthday is Sunday, so we need a win. We need a win tomorrow. James's birthday, so we need a win, or it's going to ruin the weekend.
He's 21 again, James.
21, man.
21 years experience, mate. You know it.
I get stick for saying it, but it would take more than all of you day to make you look 21, James. But seriously, thanks to everyone, and we'll be back. I'm sure I'll put something out tomorrow. Yeah. And thanks to everyone, and hopefully we'll get a win. So thank you, and see you later. Thanks.
Take care.